Here we are again. Okay, time to start working on this. I told you in the last one that, and I got all this painting done on the inside. Really super stoked with that. I don't know how good or bad that is, but I know it's good. It's definitely not going to be bad. I'm not affecting any welded surfaces. All the shiny metal there. I'll get some well through primer on it. I'll touch it up one more time before the final panel goes in place. What I did do was I had this in here already, you know. This mark here, this is like where the frame was. Because this is that seatbelt hole. So I'm looking, I don't really see, I don't have shop manuals and stuff. And maybe I should have spent the time to do that and figure out, you know, actual shop manuals. I bought everything else in the world, so I should have bought that too. But I haven't, so we're winging it. I've got the pieces for the seatbelt. Gosh, everything's a mess in here, but here they are. So I had to clean it up a little bit right here. But this was ones that came off. I mean, I have 4 of them. Obviously, 2 of them are already in place here on the back of this, but I need to come in here and I mean, that looks great, and that would be, you're like, oh, wonderful, you're in good shape. But actually, it's got to come over here, right? It's got to come over into this spot, which I think is fine. So I'm really just going to go and put it, this is the edge of the frame, so I'm just going to, I think I'm actually just come about right there. And I'm going to come on the back side, drill that hole, kind of like the one that's there now, and then just put these pieces on. You know, come on from this side actually. But I'm going to weld them on. I think everything else, you know, because I mean, there's those pieces there, they're already in place. I don't think there's anything else I need to do to this for preparation. So what I did do was I had it in place and I marked the frame and all that stuff, right? So I drilled 1/8 inch holes, a whole bunch of them. Hold on. And so that kind of did from the bottom side. I'm not going to go any further and actually, you know, drill the 5/16 hole. I'll get my Christmas tree bit there and drill that out. But I figured what I would do, just to be smart, because I'm not a very smart guy and try to battle that daily, I will put it back in place again. And then I'll literally just go around to all these holes and, you know, come in there with something and make sure I'm touching metal and everything. I should be. There shouldn't be any question about that. Assuming, you know, that that's all good, and I'm kind of getting it to line up right. I'd like to see this kind of put in place and this lining up. I swear, I feel like I cut this a little bit too far right. I feel like I'm right on the edge of that frame. I wish I'd make this cut about a, you know, 1/4 inch more this way. But c'est la vie. We will deal with that. Whatever. I know I'm catching at least on the edge of the frame there. But I'd like to see it placed a little bit better. But I got all these holes drilled. I should be on the frame. I'm just going to double check myself that. Assuming that's good and I kind of get everything positioned and looking where I think is right, I will pull it back out. I will drill my 5/16 holes. I will just take, I don't know, an easy sander, 80 grit paper or whatever, and just kind of go all over the frame areas. It's good and clean now, but just to make doubly sure, clean it up real good. I will cut these out, clean up the edges. I will get some weld through primer on the back side, some weld through primer on this. I think I will actually go put it in place, and then even, I don't know, I'd like to actually get into that hole with something. Maybe I can take a solvent or something, but a Q-tip, I don't know, and kind of take off some of the weld through primer. I'd really like to be welding directly to metal. It definitely, even with weld through primer, it sputters and splats a little bit, you know, and that coupled with a just call it, it is what it is, a subpar welder, a guy who can stick metal together, but it's not always the prettiest thing in the world. But anyways, I just want to give myself the best chance for success here. I have a lunatic. He's doing his thing. He's always doing his thing, you know. Anyways, I may or may not do that. I don't know, whatever. Maybe I'm overthinking things there, but put it in place and let's get this panel in, you know what I mean? Let's get our new level, make sure surfaces are looking good. use screws to help pull things down, screws and clamps, obviously. I try to minimize screw usage. So that's just another hole I need to fix then if I put a screw in. But so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've bootstrapped this thing this far. I should be able to figure this out too. Alrighty, so we got this back in place. You can see that mark. That's for that hole that they gave me for the seat belt. Obviously, I don't need that hole. I'm going to fill that in. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to put it right over here to the side so it fits up in there. But I'm looking at my holes. I'm like, man, I'm really I'm close to the edge, but I think it's okay. Same thing here. I can see some of these are close to the edge, but it definitely is lining right up. I got to make a couple of changes here, but I got to get it a little bit tighter back over here. But I can see some of these holes are running off a little bit. So like that one's probably fine, but this one needs to go over. So I need to mark that and change that one. This is what I'm talking about. I wish I'd put this because it's right here on the edge. Sorry, it's right here on the edge of that frame. And I wish, I mean, I'm going to go over here, but I wish I'd make that cut a little bit more on this side, but whatever. It is what it is now. I definitely needed that. It doesn't come in and out without that relief cut. I mean, I don't know. Again, maybe somebody smarter than me can, but all this looks to be fine. Like I said, I'm going to get something to poke down in this hole just to make sure I'm touching metal, but I'm definitely, I'm on the back side here and feeling, and yeah, I'm definitely not going through. It's a pretty little wide flange up in here to be able to weld to, so should be good. You know, these line up on the rail really nice. Again, I did the same thing. I think this thing takes a bit of a curve on both sides, and that's why I get off at the end here. I didn't follow it right. I didn't mark this side because I really couldn't get up in there, and so of course I ran a piece of tape on the bottom side, had a connection point here and back over here, and just, I don't know, I got off. So I think I'm gonna re-drill a couple of holes a little further out. That's all I need to do is up there. Other than that, it looks good. So I can, and as far as my spacing, again, I don't have a shop manual. I'm putting them in like 2.5 inches. That's roughly what these are. That seemed like a good number. I feel like I actually have more in there than they did. I don't know that for sure, but I feel like I do. I feel like I got more than they did. So we'll see. But that's how this one's getting put in. So that one's going to be put in every 2.5 inches. So same thing for all the floor. I think that'll be sufficient. All right, I'm rambling. Well, Helios has been busy. Actually, the only thing he's been busy with is playing with that stick. No, so we put the Helios and we put the transition pan back in. Actually, it did that and the trunk, and it's like lines up pretty well. It really does. I didn't even take a video of it, but I think one thing I'm struggling with is that, you know, I talked about how I like that I took these panels apart. Well, this is one of the passenger side. Yeah, so where the transition panel over here comes, it doesn't come back as far as, I can see that it's short on its lip, but there's no way to push it back anymore. And this piece can't obviously go forward. It obviously goes to the rear. So I don't know, this is one of those things that I'm gonna have to just be happy, make a decision and roll with it, because it is a reproduction part. Things could be off a little bit. I don't know. Maybe it's perfect. Maybe it's me that's off. I don't know, but I don't see a reasonable way to draw them together. No, they're not off much. You know what I mean? We're only talking like 1/8 of an inch as far as it coming back together to the original spot. So it's not much. It still overlaps and all that stuff. So it's really, really close, but it's not quite there. Like I said, I'm going to struggle with getting it lined up on this frame. It's just like barely going to catch it. But since then, I've drilled out 1,337 spot welds. It looks like this panel's got the chicken pox. Drilled it all out and got some weld through primer on there. And then let me get to the trash can work table here. I got the old seatbelt piece, which looks crappy, but hey, do a little grinding and she looks brand new. This is that hole. And so now the new one is going to go right there. So I got spot welds, plug welds cut to do this. I'm getting ready to do this in a few minutes. And you see how it overlaps that hole just a little bit? So if you look at it, that's where I marked it. I don't know if I can do all this at one time. Whoa. But essentially I'm kind of doing, hold on a minute. I'm kind of doing that. I'm not right up on the line because I don't want to get too tight to the frame. I don't want it to be like a problem for me. But, I'm actually going to, the frame covers up most of the rest of that hole. And so I said, well, let me cover up a little bit. And then that'll be a way that I can just weld that hole shut. That little gap that's left, hopefully I can bridge that joint. Probably can. But that's where I'm going to put it in. So I don't know. Like I said, it's not like I got an instruction manual. I hope that that's the thing to do. I do know that it's a regular thing that these holes that come in these production panels, that they're not in the right place. And maybe it fits the convertible or something like that. I don't know. But I've heard other people in videos and stuff talk about that. So everyone has to move it over. So I'm not worried about moving it over. I know I got to do the right thing. And there's room to move it over. So that'll be fine. Get it on both ends. Over there too. Same deal. I mean, it's not, I don't know. I see that my hole's down a little bit, but I don't think that makes a hill of beans. But same thing, just covering up just a little bit. Right? Just give me a little meat when I go to welding on that. But yeah, I gotta come in here and, sorry, crappy. I gotta come in here. I haven't done anything on the top side yet, but I need to run around with the grinder and just clean all these top edges up. Of course, I won't put any primer on that, but we'll get all that up and ready to take a weld. I don't know if I'm gonna actually weld anything tonight. I think I'll be happy with just cleaning that up. And I need to spray the weld through primer on this area. So that's on that area, and I don't even really want to spray it on there. I'm really tempted to not, but I don't know. I like the weld through primer, and I do and I don't, right? I like the idea of having primer, but it doesn't do as well, and so I want to figure out how I can maybe get it off. Like I said, I might come back around, put it all in place, clamp it down, and Q-tip with some, I don't know, the brake cleaner work. I don't know what the solvent is for weld through primer. I'll figure that out. Maybe I'll just put it all in place and then clean up in every little hole, run around and actually take the primer off of, the rails here when it goes down. I don't know if that's a ridiculous thing or not, but I'm trying to do the right thing. So, all right. So I'm gonna go clean that up. Helios will continue to be a retard, and I'll bring you back later. All right. So this is what the old seatbelt brackets look like before I prep it, and that's what they look like after prepping. Not all in the corner, but whatever. I'll catch that on the front side, but the back side is nice and clean, so we should be able to now come over here. We're all set up, got the welder ready, and we'll do some welding here right now and see if we can make this bad boy safe for backseat passengers like him. Yeah, so before I actually weld it, you can see where I've overlapping just a little bit, and the frame comes over to like right there. So there's going to be a little gap between the frame and this piece of metal, but I think it'll be enough where I can bridge that gap and then just fill this whole hole in once the whole hole. I'll fill it in once I get it in place. But yeah, we got it clamped in, so we'll plug here, plug there, put screw holes, bolts in there with a seat belt. Same thing on this side. All right. Let's burn some metal. I'd like to know if everybody sucks at welding or just look at this weld. Look at the opening there. It's fine. It ain't going nowhere. And I can fix it. Same thing here. The top one's pretty good. Decent. But look at the opening. It's just, I don't ever get it all. And I constantly am like welding, grinding, and I go back and gotta fix everything. So I gotta add some more. I can do it right now. I'll do it when I'm doing all the other welding, but I don't know. I know it's just me. 'Cause I see plenty of people make pretty welds, but think of all the welds that I got to put in this pan. Just all the ones over there. And it's like, I got to do it twice. I don't know. I don't know why I'm not talented enough to, and it's good. You know what I mean? I see other people do it. I want to do it too. I want to be like Mike, right? Oh well. Anyways, it's solid. It ain't going anywhere. We now have safety achieved for future seatbelts. Man, it's pretty pumped for a minute because looking at things like, okay, I got it back in place, and this is the middle. I was really worried about how am I I can't clamp anything. It's too far to clamps in and stuff. I can actually clamp this section here. I get that big old, this big boy, you know, that can get up in here, and I can actually clamp that one, right? Ooh, see, I didn't clamp it all the way, but I can actually do it there. So that's cool. I can actually get that, and I think I can push down. I might have to put some screws in here and there, but you know, push it down nice and clean here, so I can definitely clamp that stuff down. I was really pumped because I was like, okay, the hardest place in this whole thing to clamp would be right here in the middle, and that's laying nice and flat, and you can see how nice and flat that lays. I was like, cool, man. I've just put this thing. Oh, look, this worked out well. It's a little bit wider of a gap than I wanted to leave, but I didn't want to bring the bracket over, but so close. That's a little wider. This one's a little bit better. Where is it? Right there. See, that's a much smaller hole there. I think I can actually make that happen there. But anyways, that whole plan there worked. Even I probably still will just cut me a piece of, instead of trying to fill, that's an awful big hole. Still trying to fill it all in with metal. I'll just cut me a circle of metal and stick it in and put it in that way. So that's going to work there fine. My brackets work fine. Everything's pretty good. I'm like pretty pumped. You know, I can push this stuff down for the most part. I got some things are in here is going to be a pain in the butt. I got to really try to push it down there some because it's, I got to look on the camera. It looks like it's 10 miles away. It's really pretty close, but I think I can get some clamping in here and probably make some stuff happen there. I was like, cool, I'm not going to have to take this back out again. I can be to the point that I'm not doing any more tonight, but tomorrow I can put some welds in, start putting this thing in place. I'll start in the middle and work my way out, you know? And then I realized, oh my God, against the wheel well, which is starting to really fit nice up against there, I never took the E-coat off the outside of this. So I got to pull this out just to grind the E-coat off. I got the wheel wells ready there, you know, even weld through primers on it. And so in and out and in rather, one more time. And then I should be able to start dropping some welds in place, but that's enough for tonight. I gotta kind of see that crazy dog right over there. See him? He's eating a welding machine now. This is what I'm working with. He's gonna eat the chain that holds my tank. Helios. Hey. Yep. You're still a tard. Don't stick your tongue out at me. Well, I pulled it back out, obviously. Ground off that E-coat, so did that on both sides. You know, gone. I'll spray a little weld-through primer on that. Guess I'll just put a little of that primer on this. I mean, whole thing will get painted after the fact, but I'll go ahead and get it on there. No need to not cover up that metal right now. Just maybe get something on it. So yeah, we'll do that. And it'll be time to actually start putting it in, I guess. I mean, that's the only thing I know to do. Well, so I weld a little bit. She's welded in. I got a little trouble over in that corner I got to deal with, but nothing big. I got this huge. Look at that weld. Holy crap! What is that? Stalagmite? I don't know. I lost sight of it when I was welding, and all of a sudden I was just building I don't know, Tower of Babylon or something. Anyway, I'm getting there. I weld a little bit, grind a little bit. These are looking okay and passable. It doesn't move anymore, so, you know. It's crazy how much the car just stiffened up with just one piece in. I don't even have it connected to the wheel wells yet, but still, it's already crazy tighter stitches getting there. Got most of that done. I was going back and adding a little bit in there, you know, but most of you can see how I see it there. Most of that stitch weld is finished up. I was able to just get that joint onto the rail itself. I'm really pretty tight now at the wheel well here. It's a little bit off right here. I don't know if you can kind of try to get my flashlight in there so you can see it better. See that joint? It's not much. I mean, I only have a clamp on it. It's just sitting natural like that. This side's actually a little bit more. Again, no clamp on it or anything, and that's where I did all the wheel well repairs. So I'm not surprised that metal's just not quite formed right. So it'll definitely pull over. Nice and tight up there against the wheel well. So, dude, nasty. Look at them nasty welds. But I can make them look better, so whatever. It just, I have to work harder for it. But I'm getting there. So, you know, that's good. This piece is about in. A little bit more cleanup work and a little bit more, you know, fixing of subpar welding work, and then we'll call that done. And on to the trunk panels. Put them in, and then putting this floor in. Then I won't be able to sit inside this car this way anymore because I'll have a floor in here. Won't that be something? Anyways, there we go. So here's the thing. I got this all put in. Looking at it from the trunk area, I got to beating and banging on some of these, you know, and they're good. So listen to it. Hear this? Nice and solid. Hear that solid? So it's nice and solid. When I was doing that though, when I was getting those right, I'd already done these over here, and these popped loose. I did not have good penetration, not good welds here. I can't show you with the camera, but I was able to get my head up underneath here and actually even see some of the welds beyond. I could see it getting that heat spot from the bottom side, which are good. But these popped loose on me, and admittedly, I had a pretty good hard pull on it trying to pull this down to the frame. Actually, after working it all out, this area is actually going down much easier. I have clamps on this side, so I'm going to try to really hard to get clamps on this end. So that might be more of a push it down with something else. But these 4 welds in here, this is an example of what it looks like and what it looks like when you don't get a good weld. It pops. It popped loose, which I'm glad it happened so I could catch it now. And I know I didn't do a good job. And so I've gone back literally on all the other welds and tapped on it with the point of the hammer, the body hammer. And so it literally, I did it to these also, and it sounded tinny, you know, when I was popping on these. It just wasn't connected. That's why I drilled them back out and, you know, getting on to do it again. All the other ones sounded pretty good. Might not be the prettiest welds in the world. Actually, they're not terrible though, to be honest. But these were bad, just popped loose. So if you do a bad job, you have to do it again. That's the moral of this story. So we're gonna weld this back up, and we're getting ready to have this thing completely welded in. We're gonna clean up some welds. Then we're gonna go and drill the holes for this thing. Clean it up and put it in place. Hopefully not to take it back out. Not putting it in, because like I said, I wanna put these doors on. I got hardware and stuff so I can start working on putting the doors back on. So before, I was gonna not weld anything before I put the doors back on, but I was like, I need some stability in this thing. I've got to roll the dice here at least a little bit and put this transition pan in. At least I've connected here, but if I did need to move something here on the back side, it wouldn't be the end of the world to change it. Don't plan to change anything, but I could if I start to have some kind of door alignment problem. Car is sitting level. I don't have the level on it right now, but I know it's sitting level. At least the body is, you know, and the frame and stuff relative to the body is good also. So I'm not off by much. The biggest thing I was having more trouble, I mean, I was taking measurements from like the access hole for the shocks, from the edge of that back to the rear, to this rear panel. And that's exactly, those measurements were dead on. I mean, within a 1/16 of an inch being dead on from side to side. So it's little things like that I'm cool with. You know, I'm like, okay, it's got to be good, because I'm having a real trouble pulling a square on this gas tank once I put the pieces in place. But you know, the measurement from front to back and side to side, they're the same. I feel like I'm a priest right now. You know, go with God, young man, build your Mustang. Anyways, that's good. It was just really difficult to pull a square from corner to corner because they don't, these ends kind of line up the same. I can pull straight from this little bracket, but when it comes back together over here, they're actually different. They don't come together quite the same, so it's hard to get that point of exactly where I'm pulling from. But anyways, I'm going to definitely try to come up with better points when I put these pieces in. But finish this off, drill the holes, and get that prepared. Put it in place. Don't weld it in. Put the doors back on, just for body alignment purposes. And then we'll see where we go from there. That's so much better. So yeah, again, you know, I do really ugly welds, but these are welds that will hold now. So we're good. I'll show you what I was doing. Let me get my, what I do is going back around with the tip of that, you know, and you know, hear how solid, how hollow that sounds when you play big or nothing? That's completely different. Completely different. Good. Hear that ringing? It's definitely on that frame, and there's a good solid weld there. So that's the way I'm checking it. I don't know. Somebody else might tell me, oh dude, that's not the best way to check it, but I don't know, it works for me. A little bit more cleanup work. I've got that stitch is put back in place there. I got to clean it up a little bit, but you know, I'm not going to worry about so much on these things on cleaning. I just want to get the welds kind of like decent. Some people spend so much time. I've seen them and they'll grind and get it where it's perfect. And I think I have to realize that I'm not a perfect welder, and I want good and solid and not bumped up, right? Because everything here is getting covered with, you know, sound deafening and deadening, and then it's gonna have obviously carpet and stuff like that. Probably spend a little bit more time here because even though this area will eventually have like a mat over the whole thing, it still will be somewhat exposed, right? This is more visible in the end, these areas. So yeah, I probably will get these welds that I put in here on the frame cleaner looking. I'm not gonna clean it as much over on here. I'm gonna clean it up. It's not gonna be any bumps or anything, but I don't wanna lose integrity of the metal itself by grinding down into it. Even like that stitch weld over there. I want to get that cleaned up, but I don't need it to be, you know, exterior panel perfect. I don't know. That's the way I'm thinking. I just don't want to. I don't want to take off good metal. I just want to clean up the welds. That's the only thing I want to do. Oh my goodness, my dog's eating my notepad. I guess I don't have any notes left from this because Helios decided Daddy don't need no notes. I'll just eat the pad. You know, I talk about me being a bad welder, and that's true, I am. But let me show me when I watch this in the future what I'm talking about and why, you know, I constantly am trying to do better. Here we go. I grounded here, and I'm pretty good here. I've already kind of touched up in here. This, you know, just looking through, looks pretty good. You know, I'd ground it, touched up a little porosity here and there, whatever. It's not perfect, but it's definitely nice and smooth, and you know, it's great for what it is. But I hadn't ground up here yet on these yet, and so these were all just my initial welds, and I hadn't ground them yet. And it's ground. I thought they looked pretty good. I mean, I looked from the bottom side. I got good penetration, hold on yards. But just looking at something like, gosh, I don't know if I can see it. Look. Like right here, that's half the freaking plug weld that I just completely missed. I got half of it done. Half of it I didn't even hit, you know, so I'm gonna have to get that. And then I can see this, I can see the plug weld all the way around it. So it's okay, but it ain't great, right? Little hole right over in there. Oh, here's another good one. Like right there, look at that. Look, how much do I suck? I mean, the cool thing, here's the thing, that at least I kind of recognize this and I'm looking for the problem and I'm trying to find these issues. So I work a lot harder than a good welder. In the end, I think I get it done, but I just work a lot harder and, you know, to get it done because I don't do a great job the first time. I try to. I really want to do a good job. I'm not like trying to like do something crappy, but you know, you get the grind and then you tell on yourself later. And so at least I did go back and I make them right. So I'm getting ready to do that, but then I'm done with this transition pan. A little bit more touch up on that, and I'm going to be good, and I can go on to bigger and better things, and I'll end this little series of my diary. So I'll sign off on that, and trust me when I say I'm going to fix that guy who does the welding around here. I'm going to fix his screw-ups. Don't you worry. Okay, I said I was done, but I want to prove to myself that I did fix it. Okay, all fixed. You know, that was the other crummy one right over there. That's fixed. So yeah, I could grind and get these things a little bit more perfect, but you know, they're cool. They're fine. Everything is smooth. This stitch weld that I did is not pretty. It's actually pretty good up in here. Not pretty. When I put this on, maybe I'll do a little bit more right in there, but I'm quitting on it now. It's smooth. Everything is smooth. Everything is tight. We're done with this part of the build, at least for now. So, boom, done.